is the Southern Middle Tennessee High School Football Show with your hosts Maurice, Patton, and Wade Neely. Proudly presented each week by our friends at the Tennessee Highway Safety Office. Fans, don't let fans drive drunk.
Hey, welcome into the Southern Middle Tennessee High School Football Show. I'm Maurice Patton. That's Wade Neely. We are brought to you by 10 Pin Alley, Eat, Play, Party, and by the Tennessee Highway Safety Office. Fans don't let fans drive drunk. And we are coming out of week 5 of the high school football season, heading into week 6. And, you know, we said it last week. We continue to say it. This season is flying by.
It is zooming by at a rapid pace. And it happens every year. And, I don't want to get too weepy or sentimental, but it's kind of like Andy Bernard on The Office. You just want to remember. I wish there was a way you could remember you were in the good times while you were still in it. And so that's kind of where I feel like we are right now. We had some great games last week, so let's enjoy those and let's celebrate the ones we got coming up. Absolutely.
We did have some great games this past weekend. And, we do have another great schedule coming up this week, and we had some great individual performances, and we've got some impressive stats leaders, and we will be getting to all of that here over the course of the show, as well as our predictions coming out of last week and our predictions for week 6. So we've got a lot to get to, so let's get to it when we come back here on the Southern Middle Tennessee High School Football Show, presented by 10 Pin Alley and the Tennessee Highway Safety Office. Stay tuned.
Do you want to be a bad man? Yes, you do. Do you want to taste sweet salvation underneath the summer moon? Do you need another hand now? Yes, you do. Go see Miss Josie down on Columbus Avenue. All right, Columbus Avenue.
Hello, I'm Rick Whitley.
And I'm Daniel Pollard from Jones and Lang Sporting Goods. We would like to take this opportunity to thank all of you for the many years of support. Since 1966, Jones and Lang has been locally owned and operated and supplying teams from T-ball to college. Stop by and see what we can do for you. We offer a wide variety of services from silk screening and embroidery to our custom trophy and awards department.
We're open Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, and Saturday, 9 to noon. Remember, Jones and Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
He shoots, and he scores!
Welcome to JHA Company, your trusted scholastic partner. We continue to serve schools with yearbooks, letter jackets, and graduation regalia. But now we offer so much more. Our school photography division offers high-quality images that capture the spirit and energy of your students and staff. Let us help build your identity, creating a cohesive look that represents your school's values and traditions. Our e-commerce solutions make it easy for schools to manage and sell their branded apparel online. Let's work together to make every school year unforgettable. Visit our website or contact us today to learn more. JHA Company, celebrating achievements, building identities, and creating memories.
Welcome back to the Southern Middle Tennessee High School Football Show, presented by 10 Pin Alley, Eat, Play, Party, and by the Tennessee Highway Safety Office. Fans don't let fans drive drunk. That's Wade Neely. I'm Maurice Patton. As Wade was saying in the open, we had some great games this past weekend. Let's start with a big Division 2A Middle Region matchup, the opener in region play for both Columbia Academy and Donaldson Christian. And the Bulldogs picked up a big 28-7 win. You know, we talked on this show last week that this may have been Columbia Academy's toughest matchup to date, but we also said that it was probably Donaldson Christian's toughest matchup to date. And, you know, as the great Gino Auriemma would say, Columbia Academy had Monte Baldwin and they did not. 241 rushing yards on 31 carries. Both of those were season highs for the senior tailback for the Bulldogs. 2 touchdowns. And, you know, if you thought that CA was going to come in and throw the ball all over the place all year, well, no.
Man, everything that you just said from last week, it was. We couldn't have scripted it any better. We said that DCA, and you specifically turned me on to CA. You said, I don't know that DCA has played a team as good as Columbia Academy. And, man, what a game it was, 28-7. And every now and again, like you kind of teed it up, you just got to send them a little reminder, right? And it's like Monte said, you know what? I'm still that dude. I can still go out. And when I play all 4 quarters, you cannot stop me. And 28-7 later, DCA is thinking, man, that guy is pretty good. I give him his props because Columbia Academy seemingly did everything they wanted and then some offensively.
I'm still that dude. Monte may be using that before it's over with. I like that. Yeah, big win for CA, again, in their region opener as they try to defend their Middle Region Championship. So they've got another big one this week. It's not a region matchup, but we'll be getting into that later. Continuing right here locally, Columbia Central with a big region matchup this past weekend, coming off of a tough loss the previous week over at Shelbyville, trying to get things headed back in the right direction, and did so as their running back, Justice Haggard, scored twice in the second half to help the Lions pull away for a 24-7 win in Region 5-5A action over visiting Lawrence County.
Man, Columbia, just looking at their scores this season, they've scored 20 points in every game, and they've hovered around 20 to 24 points every week. 22, 22, 24, 24, 24, including that last win versus Lawrence County. And it kind of, to me, says we know how good the offense can be and what they can do. We know they're going to average roughly around 20 to 24 points, and it just becomes a question of how much can the defense show up and perform. And at least last Friday, the answer was 7 points worth. Lawrence County seemed like they really struggled to find their offensive footing. And for an offense for Columbia, that is what they are. That defense really set the tone for them. That was a nice win on homecoming, right?
It was on homecoming, exactly. And that was a nice win. And I think it was a tough loss for Lawrence County for the fact that, I think Coach Marston felt like they left some points out there, maybe a drive that they couldn't finish off in the end zone to close the first half, one to open the second half, and a couple of other instances where things just didn't quite go the way the Wildcats wanted them to go in that 24-7 road loss for them. So again, big win for Columbia Central in Region 5-5A action there. Region 5-2A, we told y'all this was going to be a good one. And if you didn't keep up with it, it's not our fault because we told them, right?
Tried to let everybody know.
Yeah.
Did our best.
Mount Pleasant 19, Summertown 13 in overtime. The first loss for either of those teams, and unfortunately for the Eagles, it was them on their home turf. Mount Pleasant scores early, Summertown ties it up. Mount Pleasant scores late, Summertown ties it up. Mount Pleasant scores in overtime on the first play of overtime. Summertown gets stopped short on fourth down, and Mount Pleasant gets out with their fifth win overall, their third in region play. Summertown, a more than respectable, considering their first season under Dan Winfrey, a more than respectable 4-1 overall, 2-1 in region play with that outcome.
Yeah, and we tried, like you said, we tried to let everybody know that it was going to be a good one, and man, did it deliver. Mm-hmm. Mount Pleasant survives. Crazy game. Summertown scores late. I caught the end of this one live on YouTube, and Summertown botches the snap on the extra point to potentially win it in regulation.
Mm-hmm.
They onside kick, recover it, but the officials called the illegal touching. So Mount Pleasant kneels, goes to overtime, and you're right. They score on the very first play and run right down the field. And Summertown denied at the 1 yard line. And just watching the body language, Mo, of the Summertown players collapsing on the field, it was almost like it was the, quarterfinals or semifinals of the playoffs. That's kind of how it looked like. They left everything out on the field. A crazy game. It was unfortunate someone had to go away, a quote-unquote loser. No one was a loser in this game. We all were winners in the sense we got to watch or see that one play out. And maybe, just maybe, who knows, maybe those teams will match up again down the road.
Summertown still got a lot to play for.
Yeah.
So,
and that's what you hope doesn't happen. We'll talk about them more, but you hope that's what doesn't happen now is you kind of hang your head because you got nothing to hang your head about after that one.
no doubt. Beach 28, Independence 7. Independence falls to 0-5 on the year. That's a really good Beach team that they lost to. They've lost to a lot of good teams. In fact, everybody they've lost to is good. I think that their opponents are a combined 21-4.
Yeah, it's unfortunately kind of the same segment every week with Independence. I mean, there's no way to prove this, but I would have a pretty compelling argument that they're maybe one of the better 0-5 teams in the state of Tennessee. And I know that doesn't carry a lot of weight. That really doesn't mean a lot in the grand scheme of things. This is a good football team that has kind of just been snake bit with scheduling and with inopportune miscues in terms of the weeks that they put up the points or the weeks that, it wasn't enough.
Mm-hmm.
And some weeks, like we saw at 28-7 versus Beach, the offense didn't bring enough to the table. You just hope that they stay in the fight. They got 3 road games coming up. That is a grueling stretch of their schedule already here.
Yeah. It's been a tough schedule all along, and this one didn't help.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a young ball club on top of everything else. So been a tough year for Independence to this point. The other South Williamson team, Summit, suffered its, third straight shutout loss, I believe, 31-0 to Brentwood in Region 6-6A action.
Tough sledding for Summit as well. And again, after that, man, does it seem like it was forever ago, that win on opening night versus Spring Hill. They've only scored 7 points. And to your point, shut out 3 straight games, 7 in their 4 straight defeats here. And Brentwood, we talked on this very same program last week. I mean, they are a good team, and it was going to take a quality effort from Summit to knock them off in the region. Man, you hope that you can rally the troops. You got to go on the road. You got to take a much improved Franklin team this week. More on them later. But, man, it is Summit coming up empty, both in points and a winning column versus Brentwood last week.
Yeah. Spring Hill gets 4 touchdown passes from Cordell Isaac, the last one a 23-yarder to Jackson Westbeld in overtime as the Raiders defeat Lawson 26-23, again in overtime, again on homecoming. So Spring Hill picks up its first victory of the season and snaps a 9-game losing streak with that win. Congrats to the Raiders.
Man, yeah, what you just said is everything about high school football we kind of got Friday night, right? You snap a 9-game losing streak. Who knows what the rest of the season looks like for Spring Hill. But on that night, on homecoming, in overtime, you get the win. And, man, kudos to the coaching staff and kudos to the players picking themselves up off the mat versus Lawson. Only downside is you wish it would have been a region game. But the good news is you potentially have a very winnable region opponent coming up in just a couple days' time versus Lawrence County. So Spring Hill a chance to maybe build a little momentum perhaps now after a nice quality win on homecoming.
Absolutely. This is a football score. Loretto 61, Lewis County 44. I think Greg Tips would be proud of that defensive effort.
Yes. Basketball coach for the Mustangs.
Yes. I'm not necessarily sure Coach Daniel is. But you give up 44 and you win by 17, not necessarily a bad night.
This was a crazy game, too, and I was flipping back and forth between this and Summertown by the end of the night. Summertown goes to overtime, and Loretto didn't get done for another 20 minutes after that, and that game was in regulation. And this game was wild. It was back and forth. It was just two good old rural small towns going toe-to-toe. Loretto had a big lead, kind of let it squander just a touch. Lewis County starts to get back into it. There was a drone operator that was kicked out of the game on the Loretto sideline. I mean, it had a little bit of everything. It was kind of out of a
hold up a minute. So what is it about folks getting kicked out this past weekend?
Because Summertown as well, right?
Summertown's PA guy?
Yep. Got the boot, so something's in the water with the officials and, the drone operator. The Loretto play-by-play announcer sounded like he wanted to be anywhere else than calling that game 61 to for a team that was winning 61 to 44. He was just begging to get out of there.
Can we get this over with?
He said, man, we've had it all. We've gave up 44 points, but we're still winning. We've had a drone operator kicked out. Can this game be over? And mercifully, at about 10:35, it did end, and Loretto does win. You're right. Coach Tips probably proud with the performance. A game the Loretto football coaching staff, meanwhile, probably wants to just not watch much of the tape after.
What is that? The Zapruder tape?
Yeah, just get rid of that one.
Just get that one out of here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anybody asking for that one? Nope. Sorry. Huddle malfunction.
Yep. Couldn't get it to record on account of our drone operator being kicked out.
Right. We couldn't get it downloaded. Our bad. Sorry. Loretto with the big win in Region 5 2A action. In Region 5 1A action. Speaking of points.
Yeah.
Nick Patterson thinks he's Chip Kelly or somebody, doesn't he?
Man, you kind of wonder, right?
The Raiders, and this was on the road, right?
Yeah, at Cornersville.
Richland 44, Cornersville 7. Doesn't sound like this one was ever really in doubt.
No, and it was not. Nash Petty goes 90 yards on the opening kickoff, and that's pretty much all she wrote, if we're just being honest. Richland came out with a point to prove. Want to say it was their first win at Cornersville since 2000. Hadn't defeated those guys in Corntown in a long time. And Cornersville, by all accounts, from what I was listening just a little bit from Mark Mize on our broadcast, they committed to the run, even though the game got away from them. They said, hey, we're a running team, and we're going to continue to run the ball. And I'm not saying they threw in the towel, but they kind of just said, hey, we're going to try and focus on getting better going forward. And Richland said, okay, well, we'll stop the run, and we'll just continue to put on the points, which they did to the tune of, like you said, 44-7.
Well, I mean, if you're Cornersville and if you're committed to the run, then maybe you're thinking that if we run the ball and run the clock, we don't have to give the ball back to them. Now, clearly it was an exercise in futility.
Nothing for Cornersville went right. And like I said, Nash Petty had a great game. Luke Eastlick had a great game. Andrew Huff. To give you a little bit of an explanation, Richland throws a pass. Cornersville punches a fumble out at the 1 yard line into the end zone. There's a scrum. Richland recovers its own fumble in the end zone for a touchdown. So instead of a touchback that was still around a 1-score game at that point, it swings, and now Richland's back up 3 scores, and good night, Irene, as they say at that point.
And, sometimes you just have nights like that.
Yes, and Cornersville, we talked about last week, no Ben Franklin. Mm-hmm. They're trying to find when you have a guy who is your entire team for 3, 4, 5 years like that for Cornersville, having to replace him is difficult. It goes beyond the stats, right? You're trying to have to replace the entire embodiment. So they're finding themselves, they're 2-3. They'll be back. They're taking a little bit of some licks this year, but Richland, it felt good for them undoubtedly to win the Battle of Beaufort Station.
Absolutely. That is week 5 here on the Southern Middle Tennessee High School Football Show. When we return, we will talk about what will we talk about? We'll talk about stats, and we'll talk about week 6's schedule. So stay tuned right here.
Hello, I'm Rick Whitley.
And I'm Daniel Pollard from Jones and Lang Sporting Goods. We would like to take this opportunity to thank all of you for the many years of support. Since 1966, Jones and Lang has been locally owned and operated and supplying teams from T-ball to college. Stop by and see what we can do for you. We offer a wide variety of services from silk screening and embroidery to our custom trophy and awards department.
We're open Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, and Saturday, 9 to noon. Remember, Jones and Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Welcome to JHA Company, your trusted scholastic partner. We continue to serve schools with yearbooks, letter jackets, and graduation regalia. But now we offer so much more. Our school photography division offers high-quality images that capture the spirit and energy of your students and staff. Let us help build your identity, creating a cohesive look that represents your school's values and traditions. Our e-commerce solutions make it easy for schools to manage and sell their branded apparel online. Let's work together to make every school year unforgettable. Visit our website or contact us today to learn more. JHA Company, celebrating achievements, building identities, and creating memories.
Do you want to be a bad man? Yes, you do. Do you want to taste sweet salvation underneath the summer moon? Do you need another hand now? Yes, you do. Go see Miss Josie down on Columbus Avenue. All right, Columbus Avenue.
He shoots, and he scores!
Welcome back to the Southern Middle Tennessee High School Football Show presented by 10 Pin Alley Eat, Play, Party and by the Tennessee Highway Safety Office. Fans don't let fans drive drunk. That's Wade Neely. I'm Maurice Patton. These are our cumulative offensive stats for the Southern Middle Tennessee area through 5 weeks. We'll start with our rushing leaders, where a familiar name is atop those. Monte Baldwin, 850 rushing yards, 5 touchdowns in 5 games. That's pretty standard for Monte.
Stout.
Rushed for 1,000 yards in both his freshman and sophomore years. Rushed for just short of 2,000 yards last year, and certainly on pace to threaten that number again in his senior year. Nicholas McDowell of Loretto with 672 rushing yards, 8 touchdowns. Caleb Oates, the Bobcats were off this past weekend, but 527 yards and 6 touchdowns to this point for Giles County. Carter Pettigrew and Justice Haggard rounding out your top 5, and the rest right there on the screen. Your passing leaders, as we predicted, wasn't much of a prediction, but Blaine Woodard went over the 1,000-yard mark for Richland with his 195-yard performance this past weekend in that Cornersville win. 8 touchdowns for Blaine. Stephen Neves of Columbia Academy, 770 passing yards, 12 touchdowns. Cordell Isaac, we mentioned that 4-touchdown night for him in Spring Hill's win over Lawson. Mason Tidwell and Xavier Randolph round out your top 5 passing yardage leaders here in the Southern Middle Tennessee area. Your receiving leaders, Jake Sands of Richland, atop that list, followed by Harrison Brownlee with an impressive 7 touchdowns through 5 games. Corbin Reynolds of Loretto, Kareem Bryant of Giles County. Again, the Bobcats were off this past week. And Jackson Westbeld also with 7 touchdowns for Spring Hill. So those are your receiving yardage leaders there. And your other, well, that was your top 5, and your other leaders are right there on the screen. Let's take a look now at the schedule for week 6. As you mentioned, Wade, in the last segment, we've got a Thursday night game that's a Region 5-5A matchup as Spring Hill goes to Lawrence County.
Mm-hmm.
Both 1-4 on the year. Spring Hill just picking up that win over Lawson last week. Lawrence County defeated Loretto for their only win to this point. The Raiders 0-1 in region play. Lawrence County 0-2 after this past week's loss to Columbia Central. So, you're talking about a couple of teams that feel like they're pretty close, feel like they're pretty competitive. I mean, this is a game that both these teams come in here feeling like they can win.
Yeah, this is exactly to your point. This is a game when you look coming into the season, however we get here, no matter if we won every game or we lost every game, I think both teams were looking at this one saying, all right, this one should be a win for us. Mm-hmm. So this is two trains kind of heading at each other in the sense that they both think they can win this game. And the stakes are kind of amplified a little bit in the sense that this is a region game. And as competitive as this region is, wins are extremely hard to come by. You got to scrap and claw for every single one. So 2 things to me. Number 1, whoever wins this game will have earned it. And number 2, whoever wins this game, that could be a massive potential difference maker in the final 2 weeks of the regular season in terms of playoff picture for these squads.
Absolutely.
Again, because you never know how it's going to pan out. And so you got to get the region wins where you can.
Yep. This is, for both these teams, this is really huge for postseason prospects. I mean, again, neither of them has won a game in region play. So to have any prospects of postseason play, this is one that they got to get. And
this kind of kicks off. Lawrence County's got 4 straight in region play. They got Tullahoma, Shelbyville, and Franklin County coming up, but it's 5 straight in a row. I mean, you close it out with a bang for Spring Hill with Columbia, Shelbyville, Tullahoma, and Franklin County all still to go. So, I mean, this is talk about a potential good situation, right? You potentially have your, quote, most winnable game, if you will, right at the start of your region play. And if you win this one, who knows? Maybe a little, like I said, a little momentum carries you a long way.
Yeah. Columbia Academy steps back out of region play following that win over Donaldson Christian this past weekend. The 3-2 Bulldogs travel to 2-3 Ezel Harding. Ezel Harding has won its 2 games by 3 points total, and their losses have been by considerably more, including their season opening 56-6 loss to Donaldson Christian, the same Donaldson Christian team that CA just beat by 3 touchdowns. So,
yeah, you would assume, that Columbia Academy just picks up right where they left off. Anytime you got to go on the road, yeah, it can be a little tricky. But it also goes back to what we said in that first segment too. I mean, you got a Monte Baldwin and they don't. And that's kind of like an ultimate cheat code in the sense, if things get desperate, if the game gets crazy, you can rip up your game plan and throw it in the trash and just
flip it straight up in the air like Lane Kiffin.
You can go Kiffin style and let Monte just catch it out of the sky and run with it because he is a difference maker, and this will be an entertaining game. Ezel Harding doesn't necessarily strike the most fear, I think, in a lot of folks' hearts, but you got to show up and you got to play well, and it's on the road, so CA will have a little bit of a challenge Friday night.
This could be a big Monte Baldwin ball game.
I mean, hey, yeah,
to be fair, you could probably say that just about every week, but
to your point, yes, but I see what you're also saying. Yeah, this could be one where, you're talking multiple touchdowns, 200-300, perhaps even yards, offense. Yeah, I see what you're going with this here.
Absolutely. 2 different ends of the spectrum here in this Region 6A matchup as winless Independence travels to lossless Ravenwood. The Eagles 0-5 overall, 0-1 in region play. Ravenwood 5-0 overall, 1-0 in region play. And, the hits just keep coming for the Eagles. I mean, they have scored 3 offensive touchdowns in 5 games. They've allowed almost 30 points a game. And this is a Ravenwood team. You talked about trains a little bit ago. They opened the year with a 27-17 win at Alcoa. And they've hardly been slowed down since they defeated Overton 48-0 this past week on the road. I mean, they're rolling. The Raptors are.
Yeah, and it's easy to get caught up with how impressive Ravenwood is in this game. But on the flip side, man, if you're Independence, you just have to kind of just stay in the fight. Every game, every opponent is capable of having an off night. And who's to say that Ravenwood is not going to potentially come out and stub their toe? Now, the thing is, they can stub their toe, but if you're not prepared and you're not willing to answer the bell, so to speak, it's kind of a moot point is where I guess where I'm going with that. So if Independence does keep their head up and their chin held high, you know, I'm a firm believer that things will eventually break in your favor. The question is, can you mentally stay in that game? It is going to be an awfully tough opponent in Ravenwood Friday night.
Absolutely. Region 5-2A matchup here as Lewis County travels to Mount Pleasant. That's undefeated Mount Pleasant, 5-0 overall, 3-0 in region play. The Panthers 2-3 overall, 1-2 in the region following that basketball score that we mentioned in the last segment. Now, Mount Pleasant was also 5-0 and 3-0 last year when they went to Hohenwald and lost 43-14. So I feel like that is a game that Kid Hartsfield has and will talk to his team about a lot, probably more so than that 19-13 overtime win from this past weekend.
Yeah, to me, this is a very intriguing game because Lewis County, they were getting absolutely throttled by Loretto. And in a game, they had no business making a comeback. They actually made that a pretty respectable score by the end of it. Well, as respectable as 61-44 can be, I guess, right? But on the other side, Mount Pleasant, you know, does Mount Pleasant come out of that game saying, "Oh man, we barely beat Summertown"? Do they think about it like that, or do they come out of it thinking, "Man, we just went toe-to-toe with a really good team, and maybe we didn't play our best, but we hung in there"? Because I think if Mount Pleasant has kind of a good assessment of their performance and comes out of that with some positivity, this will be a good game in their favor. But Lewis County is a dangerous team, and if Mount Pleasant has a little bit of a letdown, this could be danger time for them on Friday night.
Right, and that's the thing. Lewis County is a good ball club, and you know they don't have to look any further than last year to know that. So the mental approach to this one is as important as anything. Micah Godfrey went for 304 rushing yards against Mount Pleasant last year, scoring twice. He's back, and I feel like he's probably going to be public enemy number one for a defense that has played really, really well over the course of this season. So should be a heck of a matchup there. Another Region 6-6A matchup, Summit goes to Franklin. Spartans, again, 1-4, 0-4 after that season opening win over Spring Hill, 0-1 in region play. The Admirals, 3-2 overall, 1-0 in region play. That win coming a couple of weeks ago against Independence. Franklin's quarterback, Brewer Wilson, has been on point the last couple of weeks, 7 touchdowns in their win against Independence and last week over Nolansville for homecoming. So Summit's challenges are many, but slowing down the Admiral passing attack will be one of those. Another will be trying to get their own run game going and doing so with a questionable situation at quarterback. Mason McElhaney did not play this past weekend. Apparently he's injured or sick, not sure which, but did not play. Again, Summit has been shut out in each of its last 3 games and lost 42-7 in week 2 at Centennial. So the offense is in a lapse.
Yeah, this is a game for Summit. This is kind of a gut check time, right? Region play just started. And yeah, things don't look good, but if you potentially go on the road and maybe pull off an upset, hey, all of a sudden now you're 1-1 and you suddenly got a super jolt of momentum coming down the stretch here. Summit needs to rebound, but man, it's going to be tough because Franklin is, like we said, much improved. playing really well. They've only had 2 losses to 2 really good teams. So this will be a big challenge for Summit this Friday night.
Tullahoma 2-3, 1-1 in Region 5-5A comes to Lindsey Nelson Stadium, taking on the 3-2, 1-1 Lions. Columbia Central lost this game 34-14 last year, led early and just kind of imploded across the board, offense, defense, special teams. And I think it'll be intriguing to see what their approach, again, from a mental standpoint, under second-year coach Tredarius Goff is in this one. If he can get them focused and in a position to kind of reprise last week's win over Lawrence County, they got a chance to build on that, I think.
I think so. And this will be an interesting game because both of these offenses, don't necessarily seem the most explosive of any teams in the mid-state, but they certainly seem capable. And so to me, what that says is the defense, this will be a defensive battle, and the team that makes the least amount of mistakes will win the game. And I think it will be a tough challenge for both teams. Tullahoma comes in after a tough loss to Lincoln County last week. Where are they at with a 1-1 region record now? So, I mean, give an early lean, I think, to Columbia. I know we'll do predictions in a second, but I think this will be a good showdown in region action, and the fact that Tullahoma's got to come to Maury County.
Absolutely. Huntland has to come to Giles County, taking on the Richland Raiders. The Hornets 2-2 overall, 0-1 in region play. Richland 4-1, 2-0 in Region 5-1A.
Richland seems like they are cruising right now, and I will tell you this, Huntland, they are having a bit of a down year. This will be a tall task for the Hornets to come into what that's only going to be the second home game all season long. It's homecoming for the Richland Raiders. They will be ready to put on a show, and best of luck to Huntland because they will need it, I think.
Non-region matchup, Giles County coming off of a idle week and open date. The Bobcats 2-2 heading to the pit, taking on the Falcons of Lincoln County, who are 4-1.
This is going to be a fun game, and second of 2 back-to-back rivalry games for Giles County after beating Lawrence County in the Cowbell a couple weeks ago. They'll battle for the Elk River Rivalry Trophy on Friday night. Lincoln County is much improved, and this will be a very competitive game. And if GCHS does not play well, Lincoln County is going to go home the victors in this rivalry game on Friday night.
Winless Hickman County, 0-5 overall, 0-3 in Region 5-2A, travels to Loretto, taking on the 3-2, 2-1 Mustangs.
2 ways to look at this both for Loretto. Number 1, you put up 60-plus points and you're happy with that. Or number 2, you put up 60 points, but you gave up 40, and now you're ticked off. Either way, it doesn't look good for Hickman County.
Either way, it doesn't look good for Hickman County. Again, we'll get to predictions in a second, but you probably get an idea of where we're going. 4-1, 2-1 Summertown in Region 5-2A action goes to 2-3, 1-2 Harpeth. And ticked off is totally applicable right here.
Yes, but man, like I said, the body language of those young men for Summertown after the Mount Pleasant game, this to me potentially is upset alert if you're not careful. I hope that Summertown is able to put that loss behind them and put it into perspective because if they did and if they do, they could be right back on schedule. If they didn't and if they don't, this could be a tough game on Friday night.
There we go. When we come back on the Southern Middle Tennessee High School Football Show, we will give you our predictions for the games that we just ran down for you in Week 6. Stay tuned.
Hello, I'm Rick Whitley.
And I'm Daniel Pollard from Jones and Lang Sporting Goods. We would like to take this opportunity to thank all of you for the many years of support. Since 1966, Jones and Lang has been locally owned and operated and supplying teams from T-ball to college. Stop by and see what we can do for you. We offer a wide variety of services from silk screening and embroidery to our custom trophy and awards department.
We're open Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, and Saturday, 9 to noon. Remember, Jones and Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Welcome to JHA Company, your trusted scholastic partner. We continue to serve schools with yearbooks, letter jackets, and graduation regalia. But now we offer so much more. Our school photography division offers high-quality images that capture the spirit and energy of your students and staff. Let us help build your identity, creating a cohesive look that represents your school's values and traditions. Our e-commerce solutions make it easy for schools to manage and sell their branded apparel online. Let's work together to make every school year unforgettable. Visit our website or contact us today to learn more. JHA Company, celebrating achievements, building identities, and creating memories.
Do you want to be a bad man? Yes, you do. Do you want to taste sweet salvation underneath the summer moon? Do you need another hand now? Yes, you do. Go see Miss Josie down on Columbus Avenue. All right, Columbus Avenue.
He shoots, and he scores!
Hey, welcome back into the Southern Middle Tennessee High School Football Show presented by 10 Pin Alley, Eat, Play, Party, and by the Tennessee Highway Safety Office. Fans don't let fans drive drunk. I'm Maurice Patton. That's Wade Neely. Last week's predictions. Congratulations to the Spring Hill Raiders, but they did get me. They were the only ones, as I went 7-1 to go to 36-10 on the season. Wade went 5-3 on our week 5 picks and is now at 33-9 overall. So let's see what we can do with this slate right here. We will start with said Spring Hill Raiders. Again, 1-4, 0-1 in Region 5-5A action, traveling to Lawrence County for a Thursday night matchup. Again, the Wildcats also 1-4, 0-2 in region play. Wade, what do you think?
This is going to be an interesting game for me. Spring Hill's got a lot of momentum coming off a win, but Lawrence County doesn't necessarily have momentum coming off these losses. But, man, they've played some really tough games that they kind of only have themselves to blame. I think Lawrence County playing at home, I think even though it is against a potentially gamey Spring Hill team, I think Lawrence County takes advantage and finally exercises some demons after giving a few games away. I think Lawrence County wins this game Thursday night in Lawrenceburg.
I think Spring Hill will be gamey, coming off of that homecoming victory that snapped a significant skid for the Raiders. I didn't get to see that Lawson game, but I have seen Spring Hill, and this is a team that kind of wonders when the other shoe is going to fall sometimes. And I think playing like that is going to be to Lawrence County's advantage. I think the Wildcats, particularly at home, get this one. Columbia Academy at Ezel Harding. Again, the Bulldogs 3-2, the Eagles 2-3. The Bulldogs coming off of a big region win this past weekend at home. And playing some pretty good ball. They've got a Mr. Football candidate over there who had his best game of the season, and I feel like he's going to be looking to build on that.
I'm with you, and I'm taking Columbia Academy. Ezel Harding, we love you. Best of luck, and good luck slowing down Monte Baldwin. I feel like this is a game where, he feasts, and I feel like maybe this is a game Columbia Academy would like to maybe get ahead big and get ahead early. Maybe start, I know it's only week 6, but you want to start, taking a little tread off of some of the tires to keep some of these guys fresh, because you do have deep playoff aspirations.
That's a good point. That's a really good point. And I will tell you that if Monte Baldwin does not put up big numbers on Friday, that may
could
have
be the
to do
reason.
with it. Yeah. Independence goes to Ravenwood in a Region 6-6A matchup. Again, Independence winless at 0-5 overall, 0-1 in league play. Ravenwood 5-0 overall, 1-0 in league play, and not wanting to be any kind of way disrespectful or unfeeling toward a bunch of high school athletes or anything like that. That said, I don't see how Independence wins this ball game.
I'm with you. I'm going to pick Ravenwood. I can't pick against the Raptors based on their body of work. It's not, like we said, it's not that we're picking against, or I'm not picking against Independence. It's that I got to pick Ravenwood. There's a lot of teams that if you would stack them up against Ravenwood, I'm picking them. So it's nothing against Independence. Let's get that clear in this prediction. What I said a moment ago does bear true, though. This could be a game that Ravenwood is 100% overlooking a little bit. And I'm not saying it will happen, but this is a game where you have to keep your head up and your chin held high, because if they slip and you are not prepared to meet them there, you'll maybe let an opportunity go by the wayside.
There's absolutely that. I mean, you may be 5-0, but that doesn't mean you can just walk in and throw your helmets on the field. So it could be a little
against a team that has seen some really quality opponents. It's not as if Independence is going to say, "Oh, well, this Ravenwood team's the best team we've seen all year." They're not going to necessarily be phased in that regard. So this is a tricky game for Ravenwood if they're not careful.
Again, Independence's 5 losses have come to teams that are a combined 21-4. So it's not like they've been playing a bunch of slouches and went 0-5. Lewis County 2-3 overall, 1-2 in Region 5 2A action, coming to undefeated Mount Pleasant, 5-0 overall, 3-0 in the region. And again, Ronnie Yiser, the coach over at Lewis County, I'm sure is telling his kids, look, these guys were undefeated coming to Bobby Sharp Field last year, and remember what we did to them. So it's not like we can't do that again. Kid Hartsfield is telling his guys, look, we were 5-0 going to Bobby Sharp Field last year, and you see what they did to us. We can't let that happen again. I don't think Mount Pleasant lets that happen again.
Taking the Tigers.
Yeah.
I'm going to take the Tigers as well, although I will preface by saying this is going to be a sneaky good game. This may be the best game of the whole slate, in my opinion, because, and I'll mention this, the same deal with Summertown later. After such a hard-fought game last week, I'm real curious to see, because it'd be very easy for Mount Pleasant to not overlook Lewis County, but to just think, woo, thank goodness we conquered Summertown. Now we're kind of can coast a little bit again this week. That will not be the case. This will be a fun game, but I am going to take Mount Pleasant. I think it'll be a good one, and it'll be close.
That is a heck of a point, though. You could just kind of woo-saw a little bit after that one.
This is, a crazy back-to-back situation. You got an undefeated team, but then you got a very sneaky good team who gave up 60-plus points last week, and they got their pants pulled down at home, which usually does not happen. They will be ready for this one as well.
Absolutely. Summit 1-4 overall, 0-1 in Region 6-6A play goes to Franklin, 3-2 overall, 1-0 in 6-6A. Again, the Admirals' losses were to
FRA,
Franklin Road Academy, and who was the other one? Oh, no,
Page.
No. Page, yes. Page, who has not given up a point yet this year.
Yeah, just shutouts. Not saying they won't give up a point all season, but they haven't yet.
5 straight shutouts for Coach Charles Rathbone's Patriots up there, by the way. We're getting off topic here. But the point of the matter is Franklin has played a pretty solid schedule to this point. Summit has lost its last 4, again, has been blanked in those last 3. It's going to be a tough go for them on the road.
Yeah, I wish I could pick Summit in this one, but I can't. Not again, same deal. More about Franklin and the fact that they are really battle-tested and rock solid. And I think they will be able to put up the points that they need to get this win. I think Summit is still kind of trying to figure some things out, which is kind of alarming 6 weeks into the season, but I think they are just trying to make some things work as best they can, and I will take Franklin in this game.
Franklin was 2-8 last year. They have already won more games than they won all of last year. So kudos to Josh Adkins and the Admirals up there. Region 5 5A action again. Tullahoma 2-3, 1-1. comes to Columbia Central, 3-2, 1-1. And as we talk about games that have postseason implications, this would be one of those.
Man, yes, this is a game. If you're Columbia, realistically, if you kind of, use this with a term with them a couple weeks ago, if you're about that action, basically, I mentioned that versus Shelbyville. This is a game you got to win. In a different sense, this is a game you got to win if you're still about that action, if you're Columbia, but now you're kind of the hunter in this sense. All right, maybe you didn't get Shelbyville, but you could certainly be right in the discussion for 1A and 1B, or number 1 and number 2. And to do that, you have to take care of Tullahoma, and I do think they take care of Tullahoma, who does not I got a little more question marks about Tullahoma coming into this game Friday night than I do about Columbia, so I'll take the Lions.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. I think this is going to be a close one just because I don't think Tullahoma goes gently into that good night, but I think they do go into that good night. I think Central wins this ball game. Again, Region 5, 1A action. Huntland travels to Richland. The Hornets 2-2 overall, 0-1 in region play. Richland 4-1, 2-0, and absolutely rolling.
Yeah, Huntland, they've been on a rough stretch here. Haven't had a winning record since 2020. Only won 2 games the last 3 seasons, each of the last 3 years, I should say. They are not ready, I don't think, to run into a buzzsaw. The only thing that would give me a little concern about this game was Richland over the years sometimes has a tendency to be too hype, to be too up for a game, and that comes back in the form of miscues and penalties. I don't think Richland has that problem as much this year as I've seen them have it in years past. I think Richland rolls, name your score as the Raiders take care of Huntland. You know,
I feel like Nick Patterson really has the pulse of this team. I feel like I don't even know if tweaks is the right word, but the revamping that they've done of their offense really kind of indicates to me that he is in tune with what this team is capable of and where their strengths are and that kind of thing. And with that said, I think that he might have a better feel for being able to smooth out those rough spots like you're talking about. I don't think this doesn't strike me as a team that gets too high or too low. They seem very businesslike. And with that said, I think they take care of business Friday night.
Yeah,
against a team that isn't there.
Yeah, Richland in years past, this is a game that they, as high as they are right now, would still be prone to stub their toe. I don't think they have that problem. The only other thing, Richland has benefited from a lot of turnover luck in the sense of picking up loose fumbles, which, that can really inflate a record some years or really deflate a record some years. So that's something to bear watching as the season goes along. But either way, Richland is still playing great ball, and they still take care of Huntland Friday night.
I'm going to tell you again, luck is when preparation meets opportunity. They were prepared to take advantage of those turnovers.
I suppose. Hey, like we mentioned, they got the one in the end zone for the touchdown. Yeah, good clean living in Linville right now.
Sometimes you got to have some of that.
And again, it's only their second home game. They got a backloaded home schedule. They went the first 3 games on the road, hosted Fairview, at Cornersville, which is almost a home game, but it's still technically on the road, like 12 miles. But they got Summertown, Eagleville, and Moore County at the end of the regular season, all at home. So these fans are ready to see their Raiders in action, and they'll get a dose versus Huntland Friday night.
Absolutely. Giles County leaving the Brickyard, going to the pit, taking on Lincoln County. The Bobcats 2-2 coming off of an open date. Lincoln County 4-1 overall, and one of the surprise teams probably down this way.
Yeah, and this will be a fun game. And I think coming into the year, a lot of folks would have said, Giles County should probably roll in this game or should win relatively easy. Maybe Giles County, bring them down a touch on your expectation meter. Maybe raise Lincoln County up a notch. That's the only team that's beaten Richland this season is Lincoln County back in week 1. And they have rattled off 3 straight wins over Lawrence County, Spring Hill, and now Tullahoma. Lincoln County is 3-0 in region play. I mean, they can basically taste a playoff berth. And, I mean, they're talking about the Pit could be hosting a playoff game if the schedule breaks their way down these last 2 or 3 weeks of the regular season. We'll be broadcasting this one on PCL. The Pit is always an iconic place to do a game, and Giles County has had the edge in this rivalry over the last decade after Lincoln County owned it for its entirety up until that point. I think it'll be a fun game. I'm looking forward to broadcasting that one with Chris Bledsoe Friday night.
Wade will not be picking this game because he is broadcasting it with Chris Bledsoe on PCL. Strictly on the basis of this being at the Pit, I'm going to go with the Surging Falcons in this one. Hickman County at Loretto. The Bulldogs winless overall, 0-3 in league play. Loretto 3-2, 2-1 in 5-2A. I'm going to go with the Mustangs.
I'm going to pick the Mustangs as well, and this is a game Loretto has to take care of business. No need to dilly-dally. Let's just get this thing, put it to bed early.
Yep. Speaking of putting it to bed early, I think Summertown is going to be in a foul mood by the time they get to Cheatham County to take on Harpeth. The Eagles 4-1 overall, 2-1 in Region 5-2A action. Harpeth 2-3, 1-2. I think Summertown takes care of business on the road.
I'm picking Summertown, but keep your eyes on this game. I'm real curious to see, after such an emotional game last Friday night, how Summertown responds. They win, but it's close, in my opinion.
That is going to do it here for the Southern Middle Tennessee High School Football Show. Be sure and check us out next week right here. We're brought to you by the 10-Pin Alley, Eat, Play, Party, and by the Tennessee Highway Safety Office. Fans don't let fans drive drunk. Get out to our high school game Friday night. We'll see you here next week.
This is the Southern Middle Tennessee High School Football Show with your hosts Maurice, Patton, and Wade Neely. Proudly presented each week by our friends at the Tennessee Highway Safety Office. Fans don't let fans drive drunk. This is the Southern Middle Tennessee High School Football Show with your hosts Maurice, Patton, and Wade Neely. Proudly presented each week by our friends at the Tennessee Highway Safety Office. Fans don't let fans drive drunk.
Do you wanna be a bad man? Yes, you do. Do you wanna taste sweet salvation underneath the summer moon? Do you need another hand now? Yes, you do. Go see Miss Josie down on Columbus Avenue. All right, Columbus Avenue.
Hello, I'm Rick Whitley.
And I'm Daniel Pollard from Jones and Lang Sporting Goods. We would like to take this opportunity to thank all of you for the many years of support. Since 1966, Jones and Lang has been locally owned and operated and supplying teams from T-ball to college. Stop by and see what we can do for you. We offer a wide variety of services from silk screening and embroidery to our custom trophy and awards department.
We're open Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, and Saturday, 9 to noon. Remember, Jones and Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
He shoots, and he scores!
Welcome to JHA Company, your trusted scholastic partner. We continue to serve schools with yearbooks, letter jackets, and graduation regalia. But now we offer so much more. Our school photography division offers high-quality images that capture the spirit and energy of your students and staff. Let us help build your identity, creating a cohesive look that represents your school's values and traditions. Our e-commerce solutions make it easy for schools to manage and sell their branded apparel online. Let's work together to make every school year unforgettable. Visit our website or contact us today to learn more. J&J Company, celebrating achievements, building identities, and creating memories.